Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be jumping right back into TexTalks BattleTech, Exes to Elementals, a Primer to the Clans, Part 2. We just finished off the interlude at Nicholas Kerensky delivering the absolute best gift to everyone in the BattleTech community. Him not alive. I was worried last time around that this would be a really sad, gut-wrenching episode, kind of like some of the horrible, horrible ones at the beginning of Part 1 and 2, and constantly in this entire series. No, it was awesome. So we're going into part 4 now, or I guess part 4 of part 2, which is the Golden Country. I know the parts are weird. So we're going to jump right in. I don't know what we're getting into in here because this is the time period I know the absolute least about with the clans. I knew the invasion on, and I know kind of what happened in the SODF time because maybe it was SODF. This formative period of the clans where they kind of splinter. I got nothing. So we're going to jump right in and see what happens. I'm honestly looking forward to this. Let's get started.
Without Nicholas Kerensky's overbearing hands on the wheel of state, the clanners truly began to come into their own, long held back by a man who, as established, busied himself with the endless imaginative redressing of his father's work and wisdom. The clanners were now free for once to determine their own fates, and what they would create are works of legend.
I was going to make a joke about how, sweater vest survived into the far future. It's like, oh no, it's just a really weird bulbous things around the edges of the joints on a jacket. That's weird. It's like they went with, oh, okay, never mind. That dates exactly when we got this art style. This is probably 80s art, specifically because it has the retro futuristic style that looks like everything's a spacesuit, but pared down to be usable. It's that puffiness you kind of expect. That explains a lot, actually, yeah.
This era will be a high point for the clans in prosperity, growth, and technological achievement.
I want to say mech, but I was about to say jet for a second.
Engineering and technological expertise from a lauded science cast would field the first Omni-Mech by 2854. Battle armor would come into existence in 2868 when Clan Wolf thought that mech pilots looked a bit too comfortable around infantry and decided to do something about that.
I would like to point out I have not played against infantry on the tabletop. That said, I know elementals you don't fuck around with. You either kill them at long range and breathe a sigh of relief, or you dead. Because if they get into range to do anything to you, you regret it and are really glad that all things resolve at the end of the turn rather than right away, because Alpha Strike, bitch, would probably still not be an easy thing, but not impossible. Yeah, it's not like there's a bunch of really fast Omni-Mechs that can get into melee range right off the bat. That's in
this era. Some clans absorbed others. Some fought each other in mock battles, or very real ones. Throughout, there was a restoration of peace.
I wonder how often the mock and real battle
honor that would define them for generations afterward. No longer in the shadow of a despotic madman, each clan began to grow according to their own needs, demonstrating again, in my opinion, that Nicholas's death was a necessary step in the evolution of the clans.
And Clan Widowmaker did the nicest thing for the entire clans ever.
Without his direct input, each clan had to interpret for themselves the wishes of the founders, and accordingly, what were small deviations from the norm slowly manifested into unique cultural developments. I'll name a few here for the sake of argument.
I'm about to say something that physically and mentally pains me. But to be fair to Nicholas, these kind of cultural deviations are not unheard of. In fact, after many strong establishing leaders, most civilizations do fracture or become divergent. The most famous one that I can think of would actually be Alexander the Great, where he made an empire that lasted only until his death, and the second it did, it fractured into many pieces with his sons, his vassals, his lords, or I guess warlords would be more accurate, taking over. And that is not uncommon. It's very much a thing that succession is something people focus on, because this right here, while it never went as crazy as open war, it sounds like it also wasn't copacetic in doing what he wanted, which, I mean, in this case is a good thing. But even in American terms, George Washington specifically had a prohibition against political divisions internal within the country. It was all, you're an American, that's that. It wasn't until after his death that the sides were created of Federalist and I think Anti-Federalist. I could be mistaken, though. That's not a time period I really study that much. I did, but that's because school and just random books. But yeah, so this kind of deviation is actually very historically accurate, and it's really cool to see it reflected in the lore here.
In your own interest.
Also basically means he
but I
died.
feel that each clan could easily be a lecture on their own in the future.
Yes, that'd be fun.
Let me know.
Yes,
Clan
do
Wolf
it.
was the chosen clan of Nicholas Kerensky post-operation.
This has to be some of the older 80s art. That face, is that just a drawing style, or is he painting it? Or did he just really get fucked in the head with a steel beam? I mean, dear God, it looks like they had to do transplant surgery, but they took it from a corpse and couldn't fix it. And I don't know which side is the corpse. Oh God. Also, really, circuitry tattoos? Yeah, sure, why not? They were on the other one previously, but just there's so much blurrier here. Oh, just, wow. And even then the face isn't, it's like, okay, yeah, you got some face that looks like you said, I've been in blunt force trauma multiple times. I know how to deal with it. That hairstyle says, unfortunately, part of my brain is now missing. Yeah. Whew.
Operation Klondike. And since that point, they have been a power player in clan politics. Over time, they have demonstrated flexibility on and off the battlefield and frequently act when decisiveness is necessary to achieve victory.
Unlike some clans that just walk into a trap because they know it's a trap.
Stereotypical clanner.
Because honor.
Honor-bound, intelligent, shrewd, and cunning. Some are die-hard traditionalists, where others are certainly more forward-thinking. Clan Wolf is responsible for the annihilation of Clan Wolverine and the absorption of Clan Widowmaker. They are the crazy bastards who developed good battle armor and applied it in their tactical doctrine with frightening efficiency.
Although, one thing about them eliminating Clan Wolf, people have told me that apparently there are theories out there that maybe Mechwarrior, unless I get the name wrong, from Wolverine may or may not have not been exiled with everyone else or self-exiled, and that they might have gone and maybe there was a war, but more importantly, a lot of the reforms she was pushing for suddenly seemed to happen in Clan Wolf after Nicholas died in strange circumstances. Completely unrelated. It's only been speculation as far as I know, so I'm getting this at least third hand. What I know here is very much what the fuck. That said, I mean, anything that says fuck you, Nicholas Kerensky, is something I'm going to like really more than I probably should, because fuck that giant piece of shit.
Post-death of Nicholas Kerensky, Clan Wolf embraced the flexibility of Clan Wolverine's system of civilian freedom.
Yeah?
Or at least tried. This resulted in vast economic expansion and a hell of a lot of opportunity. Clan Wolf frequently tends to seek trials to acquire new tech whenever their own science cast falls short. For instance, they made a successful trial to gain access to elemental genomic programs from Clan Hell's horses and then applied that to their own power armor technology.
No, we gotta go back. Was that really Al's horses? Like, was that just a weird definition, or it's like just, hey, Al got a bunch of horses, that's our new clan name, Al's Horses? It is the most Kentucky name I can possibly imagine. Mostly Kentucky because Kentucky Derby, but let's just go with that because, dear God. Clan.
They made a successful trial to gain access to elemental genomic programs from Clan Hell's horses, and
yes, it was Al's horses. I'm not even going to put this. Hell's horses. Okay, Hell's horses. That makes a lot more sense. Just, it sounded very Kentucky for a second.
Then applied that to their own power armor technology. But where trials would be unsuitable, Clan Wolf embraces free trade to acquire what it needs.
Oh, they actually just buy things?
Thanks to relaxed economic policy, Clan
I'm surprised about that, actually. I mean, not so much Wolf doing, but the clan and others would allow it.
Most of all, and doubly so after Nicholas Kerensky's demise, Clan Wolf has become the clan of compromise. They are the voice of reason more often than not, trying to balance the survival of the clans with the wants of the individual, and often trying to see the long-term impact of any major decision. Some resent this as...
I'm just going to take a second to let Vic, who I know is watching right now, pause to stop shouting at how Wolf is the best, and also to ignore everything that happened from the Dark Ages on, because once they acquired the Sea of Terror, which apparently I've been told they did, things things kind of went a little Kurita on them. Specifically, they started acting like Kurita, which is honestly the worst option. Yeah, I don't know much about this time period. I've just seen a few people, let's say, get into heated conversation about it. Yeah, I'm waiting to see more information before I make any decisions myself.
Fence sitting, but with their success rate, I would argue this is more prudence than indecision. Clan Jade Falcon is their polar opposite. They are strictly tradition and honor bound, and being founded by Elizabeth Hazen of the Black Watch,
anyone who didn't go with it died, so
was
yeah.
established by very high standards. But she was one of the 4 founders, truth be told. Daniel Matloff was another.
Oh?
He was a fighter pilot of note attached to the 11th Royal BattleTech Division. And amusingly, he joined the Exodus after inheriting a ducal title in the Inner Sphere and then deciding that leaving was better than staying.
I mean, he's not wrong,
Carly Kaza was another founder. He was one of the few who was a dedicated infantryman and a veteran of not only the Ameris Civil War, but an internment camp of the same regime. He joined up to put his tortured past behind him. The last of the founders was Lisa Buhalan.
Are people allowed to smile in BattleTech art? Like, specifically clan art? That's just... I don't think I've ever seen a single person in BattleTech smile. Because everyone's either some kind of 80s style, let's call it shouting, but it looks like they're having an aneurysm in their face that stretches down to their toes and just slight bits of their hair. Not all of it, they're just a few of the hairs. It's kind of their general face. And then other faces were just dignified or intense. Never, hey, what's up? It's so friendly and smiley. It's a normal smile. Why is that so weird? But it is.
She was a guerrilla with Hazen from her days on Terra fighting Amaris.
Oh.
From these individuals, a clan leadership emerged.
Oh, because she got to see Amaris die, so yeah, that makes sense.
Observations on discipline, honor, and tradition, a clan was formed around those ideals. A clan that, well, fits the worst nightmare scenario for the Inner Sphere. When you think of the bloodthirsty, single-minded, crusading clan archetype, Clan Jade Falcon is one of the 2 you are thinking about.
I'm assuming the other one's Smoke Jaguar, but I could be mistaken. More importantly, yeah, I'm not going to say that the Inner Sphere tactics were stupid, but they're just standing there when people in power armor are shooting them, and they have barbed wire right in front of them. Does that work on anyone that's not infantry? Like, it's not going to work on the mechs because it's just barbed wire. And it's not going to work on the elementals because jump jets, literally in the same picture. Someone here wasn't really thinking well. Because also, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the clans didn't actually do infantry during the invasion. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, but I thought they were doing more of a blitzkrieg. We're going to drop in just the troops we need to win, move on, get to where we need to go, claim Earth. I didn't think they did infantry. I mean, short of elementals, but they're more powered armor, so it doesn't really count. I mean, technically it would, but we're going to ignore that.
After the death of Nicholas Kerensky, Clan Jade Falcon embraced conservatism and became the first among the clans to strictly adhere to Nicholas's teachings.
Oh, joy.
Whereas Clan Wolf embraced freedoms for its civilian population, Clan Jade Falcon saw it as blasphemy and clamped down on any notion of individual expression of freedom or desire for change. The strength of Clan Jade Falcon, however, is not from military discipline or its stranglehold on its civilian population. Its strength, above all things, is its banking system.
The fuck? No, seriously. I did not see banking as what would come up of the warmongering, ultra change avoidant purple turkeys. Banking? Honestly, I'm partially confused because I legitimately didn't expect them to have commerce until after Kerensky died, let alone the let's call them clanners. I was going to say people, but that would be implying everyone that's not in charge, but you know what I mean. At least in Jade Falcon, there's the people at the top and everyone else is in their place and they will stay there. Said exactly in that type of tone and intent. And banking? Really? I mean, I know that's something that a lot of more down to business, by the book economies are built around, which kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, that seems like such a profitable, steady, and staid approach that I would be surprised if they gave people that ability, because that almost seems positive. And at least so far, Jade Falcon seems like a bunch of whack job, not so crazy people. I mean, I have that opinion of most clanners, specifically the Warriors, but really, I'm sorry, banking? What the fuck, man?
Being shrewd, cunning, and calculating, Clan Jade Falcon bankers are terrifying by all reports, despite setbacks.
Oh, I was thinking local bank. They meant investment banking. Okay, never mind. That makes perfect sense.
And the loss of colonies under their control over concerns of civilians not liking the Emerald Parakeet or its demands. The Jade Falcon's banking system has ensured vast power and enormous wealth. So much so that a popular saying among the clans is as sharp as the talons of a falcon banker. Clan Ghost Bear is probably the clan I like the most.
Yeah.
That is to say, I tolerate them more than everyone else because they're the most reasonable.
Nothing to say here. I'm just appreciating the awesome art. Not just the ship itself, but the dock it's in and the structures. Sorry, I have a massive just love of macro structures. And the ship alone, if you judge each floor based on the layers of lights that ring around it, it gives you an idea of how big this thing is. It's a thing of beauty, man. And then there's a structure around it. I wish there was a bigger image I could check out. If anyone knows where I could find a bigger image to check out, let me know. Or post it in my Discord link below. Let me know. This is so freaking cool. Also, yeah, Ghost Bear is awesome.
If Clan Wolf were accused of being fence setters, Clan Ghost Bear would be the we shall see clan. Ghost Bear is cautious, never jumping into a fray or political jumble unless they deem it necessary.
I guess they bear with
which is seldom, to say the least. Also, to note, they're the most human of the clans. They have a strong sense of family, doing away with many clanner observations on such structures as being unclan-like.
Even in the Warrior
In fact,
cast.
a lot of what Clan Ghost Bear does in regard to interpersonal conduct and family structure is probably the most recognizable among the clans. While distrustful of outsiders, they do help each other and do recognize the good in a stranger if they are honorable enough.
Okay, one. Yeah, he doesn't have to convince me Ghost Bear is awesome, but he's doing a good job too. I thought this was a joke at first. 54 days without incident, because it's obviously clan. But normally when you see these, they're edited in as a joke, and it's like, okay, back to 0. But this one is something they actually put in there. More importantly, is 54 days without an incident when there's battle damage everywhere. This guy also probably got not alived, because that's right through the torso. Yeah, this one looks like it actually penetrated, but stopped. Because it cracked it, you see a little penetration. But this one, yeah, no. Yeah, I think you need that part of your torso to survive. I could be mistaken, but I don't really think I am.
They also have a sense of humor. To prove my point, I turn your attention to the events of December 3051. When Clan Ghost Bear invaded the planet of Sheliak, the panicked defenders accepted the challenge, but specified the contest would be measured by the outcome of an ancient Terran game. Football was its name.
American football,
American football.
Yep.
The idea was that the clanners wouldn't know
I've heard
about
this story
this
so many
ancient
times.
Terran
I absolutely
game
love it.
and would lose, therefore leaving Sheliak untouched by the war. As it turns out, they were fucking wrong. Ghost Bear not only loves American football, considering it their best sport, but they also field a team of 8-foot-tall elementals. Sheliak lost 84-3. I think the clanners let them have that 3 out of honor,
would that be a field goal?
And pity. During the post-game show, as American football traditionally requires,
they got drunk?
The planetary government of Sheliak quietly but formally ceded control and lowered its flags. Needless to say, they're pretty alright. For clanners, that is.
Sorry. Oh, Sea Fox. I actually know about these ones. Little surprised that they're actually an old style Viking boats. That's not what I was expecting at all. I mean, I guess if you can have horseback, why not actual boats? But just really? Huh. But more importantly, I just love Ghost Bear. Just goddamn, man. Every time they're on, it's like everything else can have shades of gray. Ghost Bear's like, yeah, you can fight us. We might win, we might kill you, but you're going to enjoy the ride. At least from a perspective of the observer. It's always just kind of like a good story when they're involved. I've never heard a bad one. Like, they can be the enemy, they can be someone you're fighting against, but you never really hate them, as far as I've seen. Please don't tell me they pulled a switch on that. Please don't tell me. If they did, I don't want to know. Oh, God. Now I'm worried people are going to tell me about that.
Diamond Shark is an interesting study. Once upon a time, they were Clan Sea Fox. That is until they saw a sea fox get eaten by a diamond shark. Nature is fucking cool like that. And I suppose that story, if apocryphal as many of their stories
it's a
may
lore
be,
story, not an actual image. Okay, that makes more sense with the boat.
Diamond Shark. Ultimately, they're very flexible. Clan Diamond Shark is probably the most progressive of the clans.
Oh?
They permit not only individual freedom, but universal suffrage. Their economic policies are terrifyingly effective, and they have become labeled by their fellow clans as the Merchant Clan. This title is granted out of jealousy, mind you, because Clan Diamond Shark's business practices have made it a shitload of fucking money.
Which means they're by default probably heavily aligned with Jade Falcon because banking, but also most likely very much in the firing lines of Jade Falcon because they have the money by doing everything Jade Falcon hates, which is literally a slap in their pride-filled face. It is like saying, hey, see your honor? Huh? We did it better by doing everything you didn't. Fuck you. That is a massive slap to the honor. Yeah. Oh, man.
And they take pride in it.
Dude.
Clan Diamond Shark is not as willing to make a contest of things using force of arms if they can negotiate, and they're damn good at it. If there are monopolies on resources, Clan Diamond Shark ensures they are theirs, from which they reap vast profits. Clan Diamond Shark is an example of what a clan can be by interpreting the rules in such a way as to remain compliant, if barely, with the foundational wishes of Nicholas, while also seeking new horizons.
It is a stupid logo. It really is.
Stacks of cash. Nicholas Kerensky's wild new civilization, governed by warriors, and ancient notions of hard-won battlefield honor, was firmly on a far different path than any, even Nicholas, could have ever predicted.
And thank God for that. Like, I know we're building to the swelling, pride-filled moment here, and it's building beautifully. That music in the background, just like, listen to this little riff right here.
And ancient notions of hard-won battlefield
and right
honor,
as he says hard-won, it swells. That point right there, you can tell we're building to something. And normally this would be, I say, we're getting to the climax, except I'm looking at the runtime, so that means there's probably a twist coming. Fuck. That moment you realize you're not actually at the climax, you're at the ascending action, where things feel like they're resolving before kicking you in the nuts. But honestly, because we're going through the good clans right now, just a brief overview, and Diamond Shark actually sounding kind of like a nice place to live, and generally better than the Inner Sphere. Especially during this time period, it's a very low bar. We're about to get to the ones that aren't as enjoyable, aren't we? Also, is that an orc? I don't know, but something about that little white spot there makes me think it's a tooth. I'm thinking orc. That's all I can think.
On a far different path than any, even Nicholas, could have ever predicted.
What's
while
next?
It was strange as all hell, this new society was tailor-made to survive the rigors of deep space and adopted wholesale by what was once and distantly the SLDF.
Very
but
distantly.
That's really
Some better than
only
others.
The beginning, for they remembered the words of Alexander Kerensky, and they had never forgotten the Inner Sphere.
Might have actually been better if they did. Oh, all roads lead to Terra, and that's why it was called the Golden Century. Because it's probably 100 years where they developed and moved beyond Nicholas. And this is probably where they start plotting to come back. Yeah, that's why the swelling music was happening, because it's about to hit that inner sphere conflict, yeah. Also, why is there a mouth right there? I think it's supposed to be like damaged, but it looks like there's literally just a mouth right in the armor. It's really disturbing.
Despite the exodus and years away from the civilization they fled generations ago, clanners were still fixated on the old world and whatever may have happened to it. For generations now, they had been told the stories of the exodus, of being cast out of a seeming Eden despoiled by the corrupt and tyrannical great houses of the former Star League.
I mean, it's bullshit, but it's not also wrong. I mean, they weren't cast out. They left. That said, corrupt and tyrannical, that's basically all of them. I mean, the best of them is Davion, and they are just inefficient because they spread themselves so goddamn thin. And then that's the nicest thing you could say about good, but useless. And everyone else is useful, but also you don't want them because they make it worse. And that's just like the absolute most generalized version of it. And then there's like just all the other shit that came later. But that's at a much further point. Just dear God, man. How is it that they're lying so much, but also not wrong in the slightest?
Through their trials and tribulations, through the changes they had endured, and the lessons hard won, above all things, they remembered the Hidden Hope Doctrine, as it became called, Alexander Kerensky's order that one day they might return to save the Inner Sphere, became a topic of debate. From their youth, generations of clanners had been taught that the Inner Sphere was once an Eden of endless, verdant worlds, spoiled and ruined by corrupt nobility that had cast them out.
Probably
they had been forced on an exodus to save what they could of Star League. And from Nicholas Kerensky's version of this history, they were the rightful people to set things right.
I hate that the music is so inspirational. It has so many high lilting notes right here when we're talking about Nicholas's warped betrayal of his father. I hate it because it's being shown as the audio clues for the clan's thought process, how they feel about it with the background music. And they have it as this brilliant, uplifting thing. Like, we are going to do it. It's going to be amazing. We're doing this. But from the outside looking in, we know that this is so much of an audio cue lie. Because while it might be giving context to how the other side would feel, and I mean other side on this one, we know that the reality and the perception are also very different. Again, it's because this is just coming up a lot right now, and I guess it makes sense. These would be compounded issues over centuries of retelling the story.
Seeing themselves as the true inheritors of the Inner Sphere.
Literally everything he said.
Sufficient power now at their disposal. Deep in the heart of every clanner, there was an urge to return one day to restore the Inner Sphere to the glorious era of the Star League.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
Society had two competing viewpoints on this matter.
Now, this part I do know about.
One faction had believed that they needed to settle up, ride on back to the Inner Sphere, and reestablish the Star League at any cost with themselves as leaders. Their aim was to guide a society back to its roots, its noble roots, directly under their care and watchful governance.
The irony here is, depending on which clans went back, if they had changed it, it might have legitimately done exactly that and done it well and been a market improvement. And then there's Clan Purple Puce Midget Bird. Specifically a bird that you have actually stunted by not feeding it well, and then it tries to take revenge by clawing your eyes out, but it doesn't actually have claws because it's a very stupid bird. I'm not saying I'm having repressed anger, but dear God, that bird, man, it just... right in the mouth, I just... When you hear cawing and you look straight up, you don't do it. Don't ask why, just don't do it.
So what if they had to re-engineer their culture and smash anyone who opposed them?
I mean, that's basic
It was their calling
interference. So
to set this right. In Kerensky's name, at least, this faction
that's the part that's
become
in
known
his
as
name.
the Crusaders. The opposing viewpoint wasn't really all that different at the beginning. They still believed in taking over the inner sphere, but with differences on how to accomplish what followed. They believed their mission should be to save the inner sphere from any outside threat or inside destabilizing faction, but also to maintain a separate and distinct culture from them.
Now, there's something Tex said that is very odd. Acknowledging that they want to protect them, save them from inner factions, okay. That's surprising because it would mean they would have more engagement with the inner sphere prior to the invasion. And that's a little surprising because I knew they had people going in, Wolf Dragoons, for example, but I never thought that they would actually try and engage that much. But what's really hitting me here is protection from external threats to the inner sphere. Nowhere in BattleTech do they ever run into threats outside of the inner sphere, as far as I know. Maybe something as simple as asteroids that are just on a collision course and are just randomly there and could run into a planet. Yeah, but even then you wouldn't really need all this stuff. You just vary it by planting something near it. Granted, all of that would have come out around the time Armageddon the movie did, so it would have been in the 90s, and this is probably being planned in the 90s. So they could have known about how people develop details about that, but I really don't think that's where they're going for on this one. More importantly, what external threats? Because the only people out there are them, and BattleTech is very much a human-centric story, to the point where they will actively never engage with aliens outside of just local flora and fauna. And from what I heard was one weird dream sequence, which might have been, but also might not have been. And I don't really know the details on that. But the entire concept of the Warden clans, then, based on external threats as a part of their actual stated or belief system, is unique because it opens the doors to things that they are not aware of already being a possibility, which is not a bad idea, but also just weird because the setting seems to avoid that ever happening. Because this is being relayed through text, but I know he gets it all from Sarn, I have a hard time balancing if this is the stated or if this is just hyperbole. But the thing is, when it's hyperbole in fiction can easily be one of two things: a direct lie to make your audience think of one thing, or a shout out to future plans they want to get into. And that's not even bringing up what some countries and companies do with fiction and authors do with fiction, where they drop in little hints and teases. And if enough people are interested in it, then they flesh it out. But if not enough do, hey, cool little thing over here. It's a thing Destiny's writers, specifically Bungie, have done to some effect, where they'll drop in all these little story hints, just tiny little things that mean nothing. But if people get interested in it, then they come up with a story and missions for it, but not until that point. So they actually literally use Reddit to come up with plot lines. It's not a big thing, but it has happened. I don't know which way they're going on this one. I would think not, but also I can't say that.
To do the same, this faction became known as the Wardens. Back and forth, these two factions would debate fiercely, even fighting among themselves for the right to lead an invasion. In 2980, the clans would motion to convene a grand council to do just that. However, the Wardens prevailed in a motion led by the heads of clans Wolf and Coyote. But this balance of opinion wouldn't last. The Wardens knew that people were getting antsy, and fulfilling one's purpose is kind of the point of living the way they had. Debate would continue furiously, violently at times, until the dawn of the third millennium, with immense pressure pushing toward invasion of the inner sphere. Clan Wolf came up with a compromise to buy time. The compromise went like this: to invade, you need intelligence. So what if the clans were to send in a group of lowly freebirth warriors with outmoded equipment and ancient mechs to the inner sphere to pose as mercenaries, and over time work for the various inner sphere houses to gauge their war-making capacity?
On the one hand, smart plan. On the other hand, Outdated for them. I can't even fault this logic because they would think it's outdated. We've moved beyond this. We don't need to worry about this. Makes sense. What they don't know is the inner sphere fucked up. They done fucked up hard. Outdated for them is, oh my God, what is this amazing piece of technology to everyone in the inner sphere? I love it because it actually makes perfect sense, even if it's completely wrong.
By fighting for each of the great houses, the mercenary group would learn not only about the militaries of the inner sphere, but the political situation, and most importantly, how soft they might have grown. This group
Not
was
soft,
called
oddly
the
enough.
Wolf's Dragoons. They left for the inner sphere on a mission of espionage and intelligence gathering for the invasion to come. But the inner sphere has a way of changing people.
I just want to point out this hair right here. It very much says this is the hairstyle of the guy playing Superman's dad in the first movie with Michael Reeves. Or is it Christopher Reeves? But then there's this hair. This is so 80s, it hurts. Like, literally, this is one step away from a Jazzercise commercial. Oh my God.
Over time, they reported less and less.
And there, yep, see, this is much later because the beard style. It's more trimmed down, doesn't flow as much. It's literally the same hairstyle. Check it out, though. But the difference is it's gone full mullet, super lustrous. But it also is kept really long, pull back, drops in. Here, though, it's just cut a little shorter, but it's the same exact, I mean, I think it's the same person. Probably Wolf's Dragoons and all that. But still, just, you could tell how things have changed here just on the art style from the time period it was drawn in. This is very much the, yes. This is more of the, hey, I washed today. Cool.
Less back to the clan homeworlds. They seemingly went native in 3019 and began secretly preparing the inner sphere for the clan invasion they knew would be inevitable.
It's a moderate success. I mean, they didn't win.
More at some point in the future, but needless to say, the news of their apparent defection had some rather powerful consequences.
Oh?
The Crusaders back in clan space took the news of their apparent desertion poorly and renewed their call for an invasion. By the time they'd heard of the Fourth Succession War and the War of 3039, clanners were biting at the bit to jump in and save the inner sphere from itself.
The irony, of course, is they're not wrong. Just the people who really want to do that are the people who would really not make it better. Honestly, if a mix of Wolf, Ghost Bear, and Sea Fox had gone in with allies who were not temperamentally Jade Falcon, it would have probably worked out a lot better. I mean, it would have still been absolutely bloody, but I mean, this is the inner sphere at this time period. Everything is absolutely bloody. Yeah, if all of the clans had gone, I know it would have been a massive rout. Because it's just way too many bodies that people weren't expecting. And just the handful of clans that did go could blitzkrieg so much. Granted, they were also blitzkrieging. They weren't holding the ground. They were just driving through it as fast as they could. And in any long campaign that they actually needed to hold territory, depending on how desperate the inner sphere got, might be an issue. Because I know there's the Aries doctrine. Like, we don't always go to nukes. I don't believe for a second that that's off the table completely to any single person. BattleTech is way too realistic of a system not to say nukes are bad. But fuck you more. Yeah.
The Wardens believed that perhaps in time, the clans would have accepted just sitting way out in the deep periphery and minding their own fucking business.
Probably.
Content to argue endlessly about one day maybe going back to the inner sphere to sort them out.
Yeah.
However, tragically, that's not what happened. In summer of 3048, the Outbound Light, a Comstar exploration vessel, jumped onto Huntress, the capital world of Clan Smoke Jaguar. They'd been sent on a long-range recon to find out whatever had happened to the SLDF. They had no idea what they were getting into. Clan Smoke Jaguar interrogated the crew.
Wow. Wow.
Became convinced this vessel was the precursor to an invasion from the Inner Sphere.
On the one hand, he's wrong. On the other hand, give it a little more time and it will technically be accurate. This technically, by proxy, was the precursor to an invasion by the Inner Sphere. There's a bunch of other steps leading up to that. More importantly, this art. I mean, dear God. There are muscles on this guy. This isn't so much a suit or a jumpsuit as just body paint with a handy dandy belt applet on there. Oh my God. But then let's just focus on the thing. Normal goatee, dyed white mohawk. But because you can see the style they're using, this is much later art. I'd even say 2000 because it looks computer generated or assisted. So they're very much doing art in the style of the 80s in the 2000s. And it's brilliantly over the top and stupid, and I love every second of it.
They brought select, skewed evidence extracted from the rigorous interrogation of the Outbound Light's crew to the council chambers.
Yeah.
And within a month, the clanners voted to invade the Inner Sphere before anyone came looking for their lost ship. And with that,
and they probably would have
the
too.
Invasion was on, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Okay, this is something I meant to ask, but what is this over here? It looks like someone bolted an old-fashioned steam car to the top of a mech. And I knew when I say a steam car, I mean literally a car that's like super retro not cyberpunk, like steampunk. It's like a car chassis on top of the mech. What the hell is that? This is very much an industrialist style of art here. Gladiator 2 right at the top. Nice. I actually have a copy of that one. Need to finally get around to make the card for it. But what is that? It's so weird looking. And that is what we're going to call this one, because we just got to the next part. We're going to save hubris for next week because it seems like the natural place to end right here. We got through the growth of the clans after Nicholas finally committed not alive. Completely involuntarily, but the best way to do it for him. And all of the lead up to the war, including all the beautiful little choices of the audio at the end. I didn't highlight them as much, but near the end where they went from the high point and then as they start arguing, getting closer and closer to the Inner Sphere invasion, the music became more melancholic and slower, more deep tones. I just love how they're emphasizing the up and the down flow of history there. It's just so brilliantly done. Great editing. More importantly, the Wardens protecting from external threats. That is a line that is either absolutely useless because BattleTech will never have any external threats other than the clans during the invasion, or maybe the writers are leaving in something in case they want to write this in later, because there's so many clans that just, you can just say, hey, there's this clan out here, they did this thing. Also, they sent their survivors to warn you. And anything that comes after that is going to be amazing. Could it be more humans that went out there and did crazy shit? Because honestly, I find it insane that more people haven't done this prior to the clans. I mean, this is literally a human thing. It's like, hey, we got a rickety boat, almost a guaranteed percentage that we're going to die, and things are all fucked up. Let's go exploring. The age of exploration from Europe was basically that. Also, money. So if someone thinks they can make a profit, they will do dumb shit, even when it really is a dumb idea. But just tell me about this. If anyone in discussions down in the comments knows, let me know. There's so many people who know way more about this, and honestly, that's cool as hell because I can ask. But I want to know more. Are there other little hints about things that might be external to the Inner Sphere coming down the works? Will we finally get Inner Sphere unity, and then just in time for there to be a new enemy brought in outside of that? Maybe actually interacting with more outside clan storylines that aren't actually Inner Sphere based, but actually happen in the clan lines themselves? I don't know, but I want to find out because that just seems like such a lead-in. I could be overestimating on this. And it could just be a nice line to read because it sounds good, and it could be left that way. But it also feels like such a good lead into something more as a plotline that hasn't come up yet. I mean, it was based or pseudo-designed on par with Macross, so who knows? Maybe some initial ideas carried over and they just never got around to it. because legal bullshit. I don't know. See what happens. Either way, though, if you haven't already, link below. It's Black Pants Legion. It's Tex. Hit it up. And we're done. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.